Hello everybody, welcome back to Growing with TJ. On today's video, I'm going to go over 7 different tips that's going to help you get started growing your seeds indoors. So when it comes time to plant outside in the spring, you'll be well on your way to a wonderful growing season. Let's get into tip number 1. Tip number 1 is that soil really does matter when you're starting your seeds and seedlings indoors. So you can see right here, I have Happy Frog potting mix. And you can use potting mix to start seedlings. That is fine. But one thing you need to know is that in your potting mix, you're going to have a lot of big barky pieces, hard pieces, and you're not going to want that in your starting mix. Your seedlings, your seeds, they're just not going to enjoy that, and it's going to hinder their growth. So one thing you can do if you're going to use a potting mix, because it is cheaper than the seed starting mix, is you can screen it with a 1/4-inch screen right here. Put your soil in it, you shake it, all the smaller stuff's going to fall through, and all your big barky pieces, they will stay out of your mix. This right here is Happy Frog that has been screened, and I'll bring it in closer to show you the consistency, but you know, it's really good. All the big pieces are out. It's great for starting seeds. Right here is Johnny's 512 germination mix. So this is already screened. It's fine. It's perfect for starting seeds indoors. That's going to be a little more expensive, and the potting mix, you'll be able to get a bigger bag for cheaper. So if you're not looking to spend a lot of money on the germination mix, then you're going to want to go with the potting mix. One thing that you need to know about using potting mix is that it is not sterile. If you're going to get a seed starting mix or germination mix like this Johnny's right here, it'll be sterile and you won't have to worry about any fungus, gnat, eggs. In the potting mix, there's a possibility that you would have them in there. So one way you can take care of that is by boiling water, and when you moisten your your screened soil, use the boiling water, mix it all together, and that right there should take care of any fungus, gnat, eggs, and that's a nice way to sterilize your screened potting mix. All right, it might be tough to see here, but see these big barky pieces? They're going to be all throughout the potting mix that you use, and that is what you don't want for starting seeds. If I come over here, this is the screened potting mix, and you can see how it's just fluffy, soft, no hard pieces whatsoever, and that is what you're looking for. And that is the screened Happy Frog. If you come over here, this is the germination mix, and as you can see, same thing. You don't have any big barky pieces, and that is perfect for starting seeds. Tip number 2 is that you are going to want to get some type of light to grow your seedlings indoors. Now, if you don't want to invest in lights and you're new to, starting from seed indoors, you can always use a south-facing window, but it's not the best option, but it is possible. In my experience, you're going to get, leggy seedlings. They're not going to be the strongest seedlings you could have if you had grow lights. So you could always do that, but in my opinion, it's not the best option. These are 4 feet LED lights. They're about $40 to $50 on Amazon. It's not incredibly expensive. So what I would do if you're new to starting seeds is get 1 or 2 of these 2-packs, try it out and see if you like it. And if you want to continue, you can get more and you can invest in more lights and more products that are going to help you grow your seedlings. Now, when you're looking for lights, it's important that you're looking for a few things. Lumens, which is basically light output, you're going to look for 4,500 to 5,500. So these are 4,500 lumens, and that's just perfect for growing seedlings. Watts, you're going to want anywhere between 20 and 40, give or take. These are 42 watts, perfect. And the last thing, which is basically color temperature, and that is called Kelvin. And Kelvin, you're going to look for anywhere between 5,000 and 6,500. These lights are 5,000 Kelvin, and like I said, that is just perfect for growing seedlings. I've been growing down here in the basement under these lights for many years, and I have very, very good success. So if you get in that range for the lighting, you'll get great seedlings and a great head start on your growing season. Tip number 3 is that you are going to want to get some type of something to grow your seedlings on. Yeah, this can be anything from a table, which I do grow on the table too, and I have lights hanging down. If you're going to do that, you're going to have to get a much longer chain from your hardware store because you're going to have to hang them down lower to get down your table level. Now, something that I invested in here is a wire rack, and this was about 80 bucks from Target, and it works really, really well for growing seedlings. So if you really get into it and you love growing them, seeds indoors, a wire rack is perfect. You can see they come with a shorter chain, but that works just fine for growing on this rack. Right up here, it might be tough to see, but this is an S-hook. So if you look up S-hook, you'll know what I'm talking about. So I just hook it to the rack and to the chain, and I can move them up and down with the chain depending where I need them to be for my seedlings. I can fit 2 trays side by side. So that's 4, 8, 12. I have 3 levels, 6 lights, and I can grow a lot of seedlings right here off this wire rack. One thing I would do differently if I were going to get another rack is I'd get a little bit wider so that both trays fit perfectly on the rack itself. These hang over just a little bit. It's not the end of the world, but if I was going to do it again, I'd get a little bit wider. Not too much, but a couple inches wider, and they would fit just perfectly. So if you really enjoy growing seeds indoors, you start out and you like it and you want to invest, a wire rack is a great way to grow your seedlings so that you have them all right here and you can work just in this area and grow a ton of seedlings. All right, tip number 4 for starting seedlings indoors is that you will want to get some type of timer. This way you can plug all your lights into it and you can set the time so that they come on at a certain time in the morning and then they will shut off automatically at night. This is really great for someone that works early like I do in the morning. There's often times I get to work and I'm wondering, did I turn the lights on or did I not before I had a timer? And that erases any doubt in your mind. They're going to come on at a time and they're going to shut off at a certain time. So a timer like this is very, very helpful. You plug them in. Like I said, they turn on automatically. You set it with this little knob right here, and then they will go off at night. Tip number 5 is that you're going to get some type of water-soluble fertilizer. So when your seeds first emerge and you see the leaves on them, they are called the cotyledon leaves, and they basically just help the seed push up through the soil. Then you're going to start seeing new leaves form, and they are the true leaves. So when you start seeing the new leaves form, you're going to want to start giving them some water-soluble fertilizer. I like to do that every 7 to 14 days. Now you're going to do half strength of whatever fertilizer you get because you don't want to give them a whole lot. They don't need a whole lot. One thing I want to mention is in the past I've been buying these smaller containers, and it gets pretty pricey if you got a lot of plants. When you get out in the garden and there's a lot of plants, it's going to get pricey. So this year I bought a 5-gallon jug of AgroThrive, which is what I like to use. It's an organic water-soluble fertilizer. And this was only $99. So in the long run, it's going to save me a lot of money to have this big container instead of buying all these small ones. Something to think about. What I like to do is I fill up milk jugs with a gallon of water. I put in what I need from the fertilizer, mix it together, and then you can use that to bottom water your seedlings. A little bit of a pro tip here is you're going to want to bottom water your seedlings. You're not going to want to pour on top of them, disrupt the soil, get all over the leaves. So you're going to take your tray, you put your fertilizer water in there. You can fill it up, a good bit, and you let them soak in there for 20 to 30 minutes. After that, you dump out all the extra water or fertilizer that's in there, and you will successfully water your seedlings. They will soak it up through the bottom, and you might not see the top of the soil wet right away, but if you give it time, it will work its way up to the top. And that just ensures that they're getting the proper water they need. You're not overwatering. They're sucking up all the water they need, and you're going to be very successful when it comes to watering your seedlings. Tip number 6. Now this tip is it's not needed to grow seedlings indoors, but I like to tell people about this because it really made a difference for me for many reasons. So I started buying these very sturdy and durable trays. They're hard. They're going to last for a long time. If you get the normal 10-20 trays, you're going to get holes down here on the side, all the sides when you start taking them outside to harden them off. And when that happens, you're no longer going to be able to use them indoors because you're not going to want water, fertilizer all over the place. So you could still use them outside, but when it comes to starting seeds indoors, they're worthless. So these cheap ones, they last a year or two and they start breaking, and you got to get new ones. You get these sturdy ones, a little more pricey, but they're very solid. They are going to last you for a very, very, very long time. You can see they bend, they're not going to crack, very sturdy. So just something to think about. If you start off, growing seeds indoors and you really like it and you're going to continue doing it, that's something to think about, to invest in better 6Ls, pots, and trays. And in the long run, it's going to save you a ton of money. I really like these 6L trays here because you can see they got slits down the side and you can see the roots. They're going to air prune, and that is really good for your seedlings. So just something to think about. Like I said, it's absolutely not needed, but I kind of call it a pro tip because in the long run, it's going to save you money and they're going to last forever for you. Tip number 7, I find this step very important in growing seedlings indoors, is you're going to have some type of fan that you can run on your seedlings. When they get to a certain height, like these onions right here, I will run this fan throughout the day. It doesn't have to be all the time, but just run it throughout the day here and there. And that is going to make your seedlings a lot stronger. That is going to mimic the wind a little bit. So when you go to transplant them outside, they are going to be stronger plants. So you run this on them, they strengthen up, and it's really going to help your seedlings. Also, it's going to dry your soil out a little quicker, but in my opinion, that's not too bad, so you don't get any algae on here, and you might have to water a little bit more. But in the end, your seedlings are going to be a lot stronger by running a fan on it. Now, you don't have to have it full blast, you know what I mean? This has 3 settings. I usually keep it on setting 1 or 2, and it just oscillates back and forth, and it will strengthen your seedlings, and it'll mimic the wind outside. It's not going to make them used to the wind per se 100%, but it's going to help them in the long run. One last thing that I wanted to mention briefly, I will make a video on this more in depth when the time comes, but I see a lot of new gardeners struggle with this. Even people that buy, seedlings from a greenhouse that are growing under a cover, is that you are going to want to harden off your seedlings. And this is a process, and it can be tedious, and it can be tough if you work early in the morning, get home later, to be able to acclimate your seedlings to the weather outside, but it is very important to do so. And like I said, I will make a video on that with more details, how to do that when the time comes. When I take these guys outside to get ready to transplant into the garden, I will go over that in more detail. But you do want to harden off your seedlings. You have to do that, or they're going to get a huge transplant shock, and it can even end up killing them. So I will talk about that when the time comes, but I just wanted to mention that, hardening off your seedlings is absolutely a must. The reason that you want to harden off your seedlings is because right now they're in my basement. They're growing in a controlled environment. It's 62 degrees. There's not any crazy wind besides the little fan I'm running. You don't have the sun hitting them, and the sun is obviously a lot stronger than your grow lights. So you just have to get them used to the outdoors before you put them in the ground. That way they will have a better chance at surviving and also thriving quicker when you put them into the ground. There you have it, guys. 7 tips that if you follow, I promise you will have a great head start on your growing season. It might be a little expensive up front to get all the equipment, but in the long run, it's going to save you a ton of money. If you have a bigger garden and you go to the nursery or the greenhouse to buy all your plants, it's going to get quite pricey. But if you grow them all from indoors, seed packets aren't that expensive. you're going to save a lot of money in the long run. Now, I do not have anything against nurseries or greenhouses. I love going there. I love getting plants from the greenhouse. And, you know, sometimes I have things that fail down here, like my broccoli last year. I was able to go to the greenhouse and get, you know, broccoli transplants, put them in the ground, and I had a great broccoli harvest. So it's just something to think about. You know, start small. If you like it, keep buying more equipment, and in the long run, it will save you money. Another thing is, a lot of people struggle with seasonal depression. You know, it's cold out, the days are shorter. What better way to combat seasonal depression than growing seeds indoors and just giving you something to do, something to look forward to coming down here, taking care of your plants. So it's a great way to try and help you with your seasonal depression. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe if you did, and I'll have another video coming out again very soon, and it is going to be me starting my pepper seeds, and I am looking forward to it. Thank you and have a wonderful day.